Hello everyone and welcome to another Armchair Athletes YouTube video. Welcome to a video that is dedicated to Week 16 new playoff starters. If it's your first time here, my name is Corey and this is Armchair Athletes, where I do plenty of fantasy analyses, case studies, and answer all of your fantasy questions in the comment section below or in the comment section of any video. If you want to drop somewhere else and put your questions in, I will be answering those as soon as possible. Before we get started today, make sure that you follow us on all of our socials. The links for those are going to be in the description. And of course, if you are confident in your sports research like I am, make sure that you join Underdog Fantasy by hitting the link in the description. Use promo code Corey0410 to get your deposit matched dollar for dollar up to $100. So you put 50 in, you end up with 100. You put 100 in, you start off with 200. You're in the green from the start. It's a great concept. And Underdog is a great app that lets you guess overs and unders and gives you constant fantasy updates. There is a tab dedicated to it, letting you know about injuries, different roster changes, all that good stuff. Be smart with your money, of course. I understand that gambling addiction is very serious. I personally set aside a small amount of money for the month, and I don't go beyond it. There are many other resources regarding that matter as well. Also, make sure that you check out the Start 2, Sit 1 YouTube short series that we have going on. Our quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end picks will be up in the next couple of days heading into Week 16. So let's just get into this, folks. I mean, it's Week 16. You are likely in the second round of your fantasy football playoffs, or if you're in a league like mine, they are 2-week rounds. Who are some players that you should be starting going into the playoffs if healthy? And I'm going to drop that caveat in there because of this first guy. Trevor Lawrence, he was somebody who is definitely going to be on most of rosters already, and this is most of these people. This is not an ads video, which I've done those before. These are guys who are probably sitting on your bench. You were thinking about starting them. This is me giving you the green light, saying they are fantasy relevant now. They are start relevant. Trevor Lawrence is somebody who's likely been on rosters for a while, and most of these guys have been, like I said, but now with at least 3 passing touchdowns in 3 of his last 4 games, and just as many 300 passing yard performances in that span, he is starter status. He is fantasy relevant. He earned that title. Lawrence is battling an injury at the moment, so make sure he is good to go. He's questionable. Again, it's Tuesday when I'm recording this, so plenty of time to work that out. He does have the second hardest remaining schedule according to Fantasy Pros, which is a great resource, but he just put up 318 passing yards with a season-high 4 passing touchdowns against Dallas. So I'm not extremely worried. His production's been up. Lawrence is now QB6 in a standard PPR format, and he's averaging 18.8 points per contest. Everybody is healthy right now in that wide receiving core, and that's another thing I want to touch on. That kind of relates to Justin Herbert as well, who just had an off week. He was getting back different guys like Gerald Everett, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Well, Lawrence is going through the same thing, and you're seeing his production go up as well because of it. Now Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, Evan Engram, Travis Etienne, they are all healthy. They're all out on the field. They're all looking great, and as a result, Lawrence is firing on all cylinders. He had his best fantasy performance yet against Dallas with that season-high 4-touchdown performance. Let's go into the backfield. We've got J.K. Dobbins. I feel like a lot of people forgot about Dobbins during his injury. We've lost Cooper Kupp this year. DeAndre Hopkins was suspended for the first few games of the season. Dak Prescott went down early, etc. I feel like the loss of Dobbins, an extremely efficient back, was forgotten about. He has produced strictly on the ground, so again, this is more of a caveat, leaning towards standard and half-point PPR leagues. I don't hate him for PPR for this reason. He's super productive. So he had 15 and 13 rushes, both for over 120 yards in each of the first 2 weeks since he has come back. So this is dating back to week 14 now. He also has the 12th easiest remaining schedule according to Fantasy Pros, and he's averaging 5.8 yards per carry this year. If he can get more involved as a receiver like he was at the beginning of the season, I personally love Dobbins even more from a PPR perspective, but for you standard folks, for you 0.5 PPR format folks, I love J.K. Dobbins. The 5.8 yards per carry is not a coincidence due to the fact that it's a lower sample size or a smaller sample size. He was averaging exactly 6 yards per carry on over 100 carries last year. This guy's going to get the job done. As we've seen, he's had limited action so far, and he's produced a ton. I think he's earned his keep. He's earned plenty more touches on the field in a run-heavy scheme with the Ravens. And look, with Lamar Jackson being in and out, the Ravens are still going to lean on the run, and they're going to do so in the form of their very efficient running back in J.K. Dobbins. He'll be a lifesaver for you down the stretch, especially with that easier schedule. Let's stay in the backfield. Jerick McKinnon. Okay, if you showed somebody Jerick McKinnon's numbers, covered his name up, and asked a random person, hey, who does this stat line remind you of? They would probably say Christian McCaffrey. Jerick McKinnon has been insane, to say the very least, especially from a PPR standpoint. The Chiefs running back has had at least 7 catches in each of his last 2 performances with 112 and 70 receiving yards. You can see right there he has also logged 3 receiving touchdowns and was even Kansas City's leading receiver 2 weeks ago, ahead of Juju, ahead of Travis Kelce. This guy's performing well. He's getting a decent amount of touches on the ground as well. And actually, for a while, him and Isaiah Pacheco were both performing at a pretty equal level, and now we're kind of seeing Jerick McKinnon with that heavier involvement as a receiver, outproducing Isaiah Pacheco a ton. I'm not telling you to drop Pacheco or anything like that, but Jerick McKinnon is not only supposed to be on your lineup, and he is in over 50% of leagues owned, he needs to be starting. He's got back-to-back 30-point performances, one of which against a Denver secondary that is just nuts when it comes to stopping the pass. Houston's respectable as well, allowing just about 1 passing touchdown per game. You could see this guy is carving up quality defenses. He's going to have some easier matchups down the stretch. His heavy involvement in the pass is intriguing in and of itself. If he can get 5, 6, 7 receptions for 40 or 50 yards, his day is done. Everything on top of that is a bonus. Super appealing, in my opinion. From one pass catcher to another, let's go to the wide receiver position. Jerry Jeudy has coasted into a fantasy starter. He was kind of trading that role with Courtland Sutton early on in the year. Look, as a member of a losing team, Jeudy has been getting plenty of targets as the wide receiver 1 of the Broncos. I kind of made this argument for Brandon Cooks coming into the year. That baton has since been handed off to Nico Collins. The wide receiver 1 for a losing team, in this case a 4-10 Broncos team that has been eliminated from the playoffs pretty much. It's very appealing. They're going to be behind a lot. They're going to be throw-heavy schemes, and we're seeing that with Jerry Jeudy. He has 8 and 9 targets in each of the last 2 contests, by far the most on the team. He also had a season-best 33 fantasy points against the Kansas City Chiefs in Week 14, something we love to see, and he gets another shot at putting up an electric performance against them in Week 17. Had a phenomenal day, racked in most of his targets, and he had 3 touchdowns, actually matching his season total coming into that game in one game. So he gets another matchup against the Chiefs in Week 17, a week that might be important to many of you. Lastly, let's finish out with the tight end position. We've got Evan Engram. Engram, what a resurgence. That's what I have to say about that. I was vouching for Evan Engram throughout the first couple of weeks. I felt like this Jaguars wide receiving core was very well versed. I did not predict they'd do this well. Christian Kirk's been firing on all cylinders. Zay Jones. Don't forget about Evan Engram, though. I was asked before if Ingram's 39-point performance was a one-off. I think Brian had asked me about that. So shout out to you, man. I said something to that extent, 39 points, over 150 yards, a couple of touchdowns for a tight end. I said that was pretty rare. Even if you look at a guy like Travis Kelce or Mark Andrews, who's been very off lately, anytime somebody pops off for a pair of touchdowns and over 150 receiving yards, they're still going to see usage, though, and that's something I tried to stretch. I did not believe that Evan Engram was just going to stop seeing action after that one amazing day. Look, the Jaguars want to win football games. They are currently 6-8, very well in the playoff picture after that W over the Cowboys, and you could see it here. We're kind of seeing a bit of an increase in usage. It was 1 target. It was 7 targets, 15 targets. That was that monster day where he had over 150 yards and a pair of touchdowns through the air. Beautiful job by Evan Engram just capitalizing on this increased usage, and that's with Christian Kirk and Zay Jones healthy. But with this pass-heavy offense in Jacksonville, with Trevor Lawrence being able to spread the ball out, having over 300 yards and at least 3 touchdowns in 3 of his last 4 games, and that's why I'm pairing these 2 guys together. I love it. Engram saw double-digit targets for the 2nd week in a row last week. He is now tight end 4 in a standard PPR format, and he gets another matchup against the very team that he scored 39 points against a couple of weeks ago in Tennessee in Week 18. Now, I understand some of your leagues may be done at that point, so if that's the case, I apologize, but I still think, look, he's the tight end 4 right now for a reason. He's been streaky, he's capitalizing on that high usage, and clearly he's able to share these touches with Christian Kirk, with Zay Jones. I mean, we've got 7 and 10 for Christian Kirk the last 2 weeks, 12 and 8 for Zay Jones, and the most of them all with Evan Engram having 25 in the last 2 weeks. I like it a lot. I really respect Ingram's game. He was able to go up and moss somebody a couple of weeks ago. Evan Ingram's a monster. He had those drop issues in New York, but I really think that he has been able to thrive, and he's going to continue to get rewarded by this Jacksonville offense, by the play calling, by Doug Peterson, by, of course, Trevor Lawrence for his great performance, and you should be rewarded, too, by making sure that you start him. So, folks, that's all I got. If you got value out of this video, make sure you like the video. make sure you subscribe to the video and make sure that, or the channel, excuse me, and make sure that you comment any questions you have regarding any of the topics I brought up. If you're looking really far ahead into week 16, which is what this video is about, and you have questions about start or sit, drop them in now. I can kind of analyze that. If there's injuries you want to know about, I can check certain reports, all that good stuff. Or if you just have general questions about how one should be approaching the game, again, the 3 metrics we love to use: availability, are they healthy? Opportunity, are they seeing the ball? And productivity, what are they doing when they get the ball in their hands? So with that, folks, I'm Corey. This is Armchair Athletes, and we'll be live streaming later this week, so don't worry. We'll be answering plenty more of your questions as we head into week 16. So we'll see you then.